Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this edition of Reporters. It's been called controversial and unstoppable. We're talking about the Nord Stream 2 pipeline with a price tag of almost 9 billion euros. The project is almost complete, with just a few kilometers left to go until it stretches completely from Russia to Germany under the Baltic Sea. But opponents still haven't given up the fight against it, arguing that it's a geopolitical project pushed by an aggressive Russian regime and that it threatens European security. Reporters Gulliver Craig, Anne Maillet, and Elena Volushin have the story.
Sassnitz, a charming little sea resort on Germany's Baltic coast.
We can go together to the first row of pipes, no problem.
For Frank Kracht, the mayor, things are looking up. He's finally going to be able to get rid of the thousands of pipeline components that have been cluttering Sassnitz's port for the past 2 years.
I hope that this storage area will now be swiftly freed up for new projects. These pipes were supposed to have been transported directly out to sea as they were produced, but unfortunately work stopped in 2019.
Today, work is again underway out on the Baltic, as the Nord Stream 2 pipeline inches closer to the German coast. 1,230 kilometers long, it's intended to transport gas directly from Russia to Germany, doubling the capacity already in place thanks to Nord Stream 1. The pipeline company would not provide pictures of the Russian ships now racing against the clock to get Nord Stream 2 finished. They prefer to show these Swiss vessels, even though they have long since pulled out under the threat of sanctions from the US, fiercely opposed to the project. Frank Kracht, for his part, remains committed to Nord Stream 2, though, as mayor of Sassnitz and director of its port, he's also been in the American sites. He received this threatening letter signed by 3 US senators in August 2020.
Destroy. They really used the word destroy. They said we face sanctions that could threaten the port's financial survival. This is about our energy policy as Germans and Europeans, and the Americans have no business getting involved.
While Germans lambast the US sanctions as an attack on their country's sovereignty, Russia has simply found ways to get around them and resume work. But how, when all its European partners have backed out? In Moscow, Konstantin Simonov heads the Russian Fund for Energy Security. He's a consultant to various companies, including Gazprom, the Russian gas giant that owns Nord Stream 2.
The first challenge was a technical one. Did Gazprom have the capacity to lay the pipeline itself? The Russian barge Fortuna was indeed designed for laying pipelines, but it was not supposed to work in deep waters. As for the Chersky, this ship could be adapted, but in December 2019 it was not equipped with the necessary welding material.
Those weren't the only problems. The sanctions also targeted insurance and certification companies. So the Russians made their own.
In early 2021, a totally new insurance company was registered in Russia in record time, with huge capital. In my opinion, it was created especially to insure Nord Stream 2. The pipeline saves Russia 1,900 kilometers of gas transit, and that considerably cuts operating costs. And it also allows them to cut out Ukraine as a transit country. But it's not so much a political question as a question of money.
Ukraine, with its 33,000 kilometers of gas pipelines, pumped 56 billion cubic meters of Russian gas to the EU in 2020. and earn $2 billion in transit fees. It's a huge potential loss if Russia stops sending the gas this way. Most of the pipes are underground, but compressor stations dot the landscape every 100 kilometers or so. This one is being upgraded, thanks in large part to German loans and German engineers.
We open these channels here because each unit needs a new fuel gas line. This station is the first station we renovated. And renovated also means an upgrade to a newer technology. We see this in the backside. You see we have 2 new units.
The German contractors are taking Serhii Makogon, head of Ukraine's pipeline operating company, on a tour of the site. This upgrade will have cost 80 million euros. Similar work is planned on 9 more compressor stations. But Nord Stream 2 is throwing all that into doubt.
We cannot constantly invest in our system and just waiting that our system will be needed for 2 weeks when Nord Stream is just on maintenance. Yeah, so this is no economical sense. So the system could be maintained only if we have the long-term contract for the transit in the future.
Serhii Makogon is convinced that the only real purpose of Nord Stream 2 is to increase Russian influence in Europe.
Germany is supporting Nord Stream 2, but a lot of other countries are against Nord Stream 2. That's why the Gazprom is dividing the unity of Europe. We understand that this is the goal, because Gazprom, unfortunately, it's not the purely commercial company right now. It's more the part of the geopolitical game.
For 7 years, Ukraine has been fighting an undeclared war with Russia. The conflict with Russian-led separatists in the eastern Donbass region has killed at least 14,000 people. In Kiev, Ukraine's capital, many still fear a full-scale Russian invasion. And they see the gas pipeline network as a kind of insurance policy against that. The view held by Ukraine's national gas company is that Russia won't risk damaging pipelines that it needs. But what if it no longer needs them?
If there's no gas flow through Ukraine, it increases the chance of a full-scale war between Russia and Ukraine, like a full-scale military aggression of Russia. Because then Russia would not be afraid to, again, further invade Ukraine, not just the eastern part, but again, the northern parts and the central part. I don't think that it's the interest of Europe, and of course it's not in the interest of Ukraine.
Lubmin, Germany, is a world away from the Ukrainians' concerns.
Einer muss mit Milch sein, aber ist egal jetzt. Ich nehme mal den, der sieht so aus, weil ich trinke nicht ohne Milch.
This small town discovered tourism with the fall of communism, as its mayor, a part-time lifeguard, explains.
After the wall came down, we started on a small scale because we didn't really know how to do it. We just opened one small hotel. For us, East Germans, it was completely new.
Today, Lubmin has another source of prosperity. Not far from the coast, the receiving station for gas pumped through Nord Stream 1 has been operational since 2012. The one for Nord Stream 2 has been ready since 2019, and the mayor can't wait to open it.
Man kann jetzt sagen,
business tax from Nord Stream 1 accounts for 30 to 35% of our town's income.
derzeit rund 30-35% der Gewerbesteuer.
When Nord Stream 2 is fully up and running, it will double those revenues.
Anlage 1 können wir also die Gewerbesteuereinnahme aus der Anlage verdoppeln.
€1.5 million annually, revenue from the pipeline has already paid for a new football pitch and children's playground. But for residents of this formerly communist territory, it's not just about money.
There were very few inhabitants and absolutely no industry here. That's why the Soviet engineers chose this site.
Matthias Lietz was mayor of Lubmin just after the fall of the wall, which led swiftly to the closure of the town's lifeblood, a Soviet-built nuclear power plant. It occurred then to Lietz that Russian gas could replace it.
We wanted to find a way to use this industrial site's potential. Already in the 1990s, we were thinking about how to transport Russian gas to Western Europe.
Like everyone here old enough to have grown up under communism, Lietz learned Russian in school. A former teacher, Heidi Moritz, now runs a hotel and restaurant. She travelled to the Soviet Union several times and has fond memories.
I don't know anyone in our region who is afraid of Putin. If only because our relations with Russia over all these years have always been positive. We were brought up this way. To us, the Russians are our friends.
The region is dotted with the remnants of recent history. And for local politicians, the Nord Stream pipelines are simply a continuation of decades-old ties with Russia. Today, Christian Pegel, regional energy minister, is visiting a former Soviet bunker. He says Nord Stream 2 is crucial to Germany's energy transition as the country strives to wean itself off both coal and nuclear power.
Even during the darkest days of the Cold War, Russia never cut gas supplies to West Germany. Both sides' mutual economic dependence was simply too strong. And today, Germany and Europe more broadly are striving to make the energy transition and achieve that independence. But until then, gas is the best way to get there.
But in a country where the climate crisis is always high on the political agenda, there is also fierce resistance to Nord Stream 2.
Diese Pipeline entwickelt sich also, was Menschenrechte und Demokratie angeht, zu einem Desaster, weil diese energiepolitisch unnötige Pipeline ein Projekt ist, an dem wir doch endlich Haltung zeigen müssten.
In Schwerin, the regional capital, young people from Greta Thunberg's Fridays for Future movement have been protesting regularly since work on the pipeline resumed.
Gas is not a good solution. It's as harmful as coal. Its negative impact on the climate has been underestimated. Besides, by investing in gas today, rather than on developing renewable energies, we'll only slow down the energy transition, and we won't achieve our climate goals.
The activists hope to block Nord Stream 2 in the courts. Several NGOs have filed lawsuits challenging the permits issued to the pipeline company. They're also hoping for political change. In September, Louise will vote for the first time, and she'll vote for the Green Party, which opposes Nord Stream 2.
I really hope that the Greens will make this a condition for entering any government. And the way things are looking, they will be in a position at the negotiations to demand this pipeline be scrapped.
Is that why Moscow is so keen to finish the job before the Bundestag elections? Russia's ambassador to Germany agrees to discuss it with us in Berlin. Sergei Nechayev worked at the Soviet embassy to East Germany during the Cold War. He hosts us in the very room where Angela Merkel and Vladimir Putin held their first meeting in 2005.
Nehmen Sie lieber Platz, liebe Freunde.
For Nechayev, nothing can stop Nord Stream 2 now.
Our American friends are being very creative with the sanctions, which are illegitimate. But this project is important to us, and we will finish building it. Our workers are working at the speed that the technology allows for, without worrying about the political calendar. Because this is not a political project, but an economic one.
In reality, though, political developments could affect Nord Stream 2's fate. The Green Party is the pipeline's top enemy in Germany, and with poll ratings of around 20%, it is almost certain to play a major role in the next government, perhaps even providing the Chancellor. Visiting Ukraine to underscore his party's opposition to pro-Russian tendencies in Germany, the Greens' co-leader had a clear message.
I'm against Nord Stream 2. Completely against. I think it was wrong from the start and it shouldn't be finished. And our government is on the wrong way to do that.
But Habeck concedes that if the pipeline is physically finished, it will be more difficult to oppose.
The legal matters are complicated. It's a private invest. If the private invest is finished, then it's the private firms are free to use it. They will bring things into court. Therefore, the most important thing is that it's not be finished. We should not finish Nord Stream 2.
Out at sea and out of sight, work on the pipeline continues apace. But if and when it is finished, Nord Stream 2 faces further hurdles before it is certified and can work at full capacity. The final outcome is as yet unknown, because whatever they say, this is a geopolitical matter.
That was Gulliver Craig, Anne Maillet, and Elena Voloshin reporting. And that brings us to the end of this edition of Reporters. Remember, you can see this along with past episodes on our website, france24.com/en. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.